From the previous lectures, we learned that when it comes to WPA and WPA2, the only packets that contain some information that can help us with cracking the key are the handshake packets. And in the last lecture, we learned how to capture the handshake and store it in a file. Now, the handshake does not contain any information that can help us to recover or recalculate the WPA key. The information in it can only be used to check whether a password is valid or not. Therefore, what we're going to do is to create a word list, which is basically a big text file that contains a large number of passwords. Then go through this file, go through the passwords one by one, and use them with the handshake in order to check whether this password is valid or not. You can actually download ready word lists from the internet, but in this lecture, I want to teach you how to create your own word list. And in the next lecture, I'm going to explain to you how the word list and the handshake are used in order to recover the password, and we'll see how to do that in practice. So in this lecture, we're going to learn how you create your own word list using a tool called Crunch. This is a really handy skill to have under your belt if you want to be a penetration tester, because you're going to face a lot of scenarios where a word list attack can become very handy. So using the tool is very simple. All you have to do is just put the name of the tool, and then you specify the minimum number of characters for the passwords to be generated. Then we're going to specify the maximum number of characters for the password. Then you specify the characters that you want to generate passwords from. For example, you can put all lowercase characters, all uppercase, you can put numbers, digits, or you can just specify a smaller number to make the word list smaller. You can also use the option T, which is an optional, to give a pattern. So for example, let's say that you were looking at the person while they were typing their password, and you've seen that the password will start with an A. So you can tell Crunch that the password will start with an A, and then give me all possible combination of passwords that start with an A. And after that, we use the -O option to specify the file name where the passwords are going to be stored. So we have a small little example here that will generate a list of passwords that start from 6 characters to 8 characters. And contain these characters right here. So it's going to create combinations of 1, 2, 3, ABC, and the $sign. And it's going to store it in a file called word list. And these passwords are going to start with an A and end with a B. And it will generate passwords based on all possible combinations between the A and the B. So all of the generated passwords will always start with A and end with B. So let's have an example of the tool. Now the tool actually have a lot of options other than what we've seen so far. So if you just type in man crunch, you'll see all the options that you can set, and you'll see detailed description about all of these options. So it's actually really good. You can go ahead and spend some time to get familiar with the tool. Now I'm going to show you the example, and based on the example, you'll be able to run all of these commands. But if you want to run or create some advanced word lists, then I highly recommend that you go over this. One of the really cool options that I want to highlight is the -P option. The -P option tells Crunch to generate passwords that don't have repeating characters. For example, when you specify all lowercase characters, you specify A, B, C, D, it will start by generating passwords made of A, and then A, B, and all of that. So when you do this, Crunch will actually ignore these type of passwords, and it will only create passwords that don't have any repeating characters. And that will reduce the size of the word list from the number of characters to the power of the length to the number of characters factorial. If you scroll down, you'll actually see more examples of commands and the type of word lists that will be created. So again, you can have a look on these and get yourself familiar with. Once you're done looking at the man, you can just press Q and you'll be out of it. And we're going to run our command here. So we're going to use Crunch. And I want to generate passwords of minimum of 6 characters. and maximum of 8 characters. And I want them to contain combinations of ABC, and let's say the digits 1, 2. Now in here you can actually keep listing things. You can list characters, you can list uppercase characters, or even symbols if you wanted to. Once you're done with listing the characters, we're going to specify the file to save it to, and we're going to save it in a file called test.txt. So the command is very simple. It's crunch, minimum length of the password, the maximum length of the password, followed by the characters that we want to use to generate passwords from, and then O to the file that the passwords are going to be stored in. I'm going to hit enter. And as you can see now, it's telling us that it generated 448,000 passwords approximately, and they're all stored in a file called test.txt now. The size of the file is 4 megabytes. And now I can open this file by doing cat test.txt. And as you can see now, we can see all the passwords that have been generated. I'm going to Control-C out of it because it's a huge file. And as you can see, it actually contains all possible combinations of ABC 1, 2. I also want to show you an example of using the -t option. So I'm going to set this to only 6 to 6, so it's only 6 characters. And we're going to use the -t option, which is the pattern option. And I'm going to tell it that I want the password to always start with an A. And then I want you to fill all possible combinations of characters between the A and the B. So I want passwords that start with an A and end with a B. And in the middle, at the @ sign, you can fill all possible combinations of ABC 1, 2. Gonna hit enter. As you can see now, the number of passwords is much less. It's only 625 passwords because I've narrowed down the possibilities of passwords. Again, if I do cat test.txt, you'll see that I have all the passwords right here. So this is it. Tool is really useful, can be used in many scenarios. I highly recommend that you spend some time with it, and also have a look on some of the existing word lists out there on the internet.